Ladies and gentlemen of the Tinterwebs, welcome to my humble abode. I'm making this video as a little bit of a special celebration. I hit the milestone this week, or just at the end of last week, of 500,000 views. And the channel, I really started uploading videos for gaming around May. I think it was May 2014, so in the space of a year and 9 months. That's not bad, and considering it was a hobby and I've had some periods when I've been away for 3 months, I'm quite pleased with that. So I thought, last September I redid this office, as many of you who watch my vlog channel will know. I spent a lot of time rebuilding the games room, or the office, whatever you want to call it, and decorated it, put new desks in, got new machines. My wife and I live in a lovely rural part of Cheshire here in the UK, and it's an amazing location. We're very lucky to have what we have on our doorstep, forests and fields and all sorts. But the downside is our house is quite small, so nothing focuses you more than having a small house. It really forces you to be organised. Sometimes you're not so organised and things turn into a mess. Today it's not so bad, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to actually show you the end result of all that hard work back in September and October, the decorating and all the fixing of the floor that I did. So, this is my production room, it's my games room, it's my editing room, it's my photographic studio, if you like. I have two machines, two PCs here. One I use them both for gaming and editing, and I'll run through the specs of those shortly. And then over here we have some desks, pretty much just got crap on top of them, but I'll show you them anyway. So, it looks a bit messy, but it's not really. So we've got these three drawer desk cabinets, I guess you could call them, and then obviously all my wife's stuff is over here. And honestly, it is my wife's stuff because I don't really read the Sewing Bible or the Sewing Book or Sewing Machine Basics or the Candlemaker's Companion. Not my bag. My stuff starts here, so it looks like I'm kind of encroaching a little bit on my wife's space, but she doesn't mind because she loves me. And then we start to get into all the things that a grown man should have in his house, like Death Star top trumps, and the best thing about this is if it's still working, and in there are my top trumps. That was a present from my wife. So a spare set of headphones, which I got free from Computer Planet for doing a review of their build of my old PC. So thank you very much, Computer Planet, for that. Wires and stuff. This is my I've recently set up a business doing photography and videography. This is it's one of my old cameras. It's a Canon EOS 450D, and it's got an extra battery pack on the bottom which holds 2 batteries. The batteries in this thing last forever. I mean, I don't need to charge them. I use it quite regularly. I don't need to charge them for quite some time. That's kind of almost been superseded by this camera that I'm actually filming with now, which is a Panasonic GX8. It's a micro 4/3 camera, but I really like it. It works really well, and it photographs and films video in 4K. So that's what we're doing now. But anyway, so that's one of my cameras. It's kind of sat here, feeling a bit lonely at the moment. This is a gadget drawer, got all kinds of little bits and bobs in there, cables. I'm not going to focus. That's an Anchor memory card reader. That's really good. That's a SIM card, a SIM card holder, SD card holder, sorry, from somewhere. My wife bought it for me. I've got lots of little things like, oh, come here. Like small lavalier mics. I think that's for the Osmo, I think. And then, being the man that I am, I like to have spares, so I've actually got another spare Osmo microphone. For those who don't know, the Osmo is a handheld, like Steadicam or gimbal based system. No home should be without a basketball game for when you get bored. So I stick that on the drawers here and then play basketball. That was actually a present from my mother-in-law, so there you go. There's the ball for it. Spladoosh! My main rig. This is my main PC that I do most of my gaming, recording, editing, rendering on. And I'll start with the highlight of the show for me is this monitor. I can't really give you a sense of scale of the monitor. This is an Acer Predator X34. It's a 34-inch 3440 by 1440 monitor. It's a 21:9 ratio, and it's actually it runs at 100 Hz as well. I love this monitor, and I love gaming in 21:9. I think I prefer it to 4K, if I'm honest, because having this wraparound screen, because it is slightly curved as well. I don't know if you can see, but it's slightly curved. It's great. It's a great gaming experience, and I'd highly recommend it. The other monitor I have here, which is just a slave monitor that it's plugged into the same system. This, when I'm gaming on this rig here, if I'm streaming or editing, then I have the software open on here, so I can actually see at a glance while I'm playing the sound levels and how the recording's going, if there's any problems with the software that I'm using to record. That is, it's an LG monitor. I forget the model, but it's a 28-inch and a 16:9. So there you go. What else have we got? So we've got, when I'm not using headphones, I use these little babies here. That one's probably a better one to look at. These are just a Bose desktop stereo sound system, but the sound is absolutely phenomenal. You would be very, very impressed with the quality of sound that comes out of these little speakers, and they weren't cheap. So I have two of those, one either side, of course, because it's stereo, and then underneath the desk is the real joy. That's the subwoofer. Bit dark, I don't know if you can see it, but that's the Bose subwoofer, and that's, you know, if I'm gaming, that makes the floor shake. And then you have a little controller here where you can plug headphones in if you need to. It's a touchpad, so you can touch it on and off, and it's just typical Bose, really, absolutely high quality. That's a lens cap of a camera, don't need that. So that's the sound system when I'm not recording or editing or anything like that. When I'm not gaming with a microphone running, then I use these speakers. When I am, and they were a present from my father-in-law, these are Turtle Beach headphones, an old set of PX3s. They're USB, and they also have a built-in microphone, which I don't use, and I have to make sure I keep switched off. But it's really good. It's got various modes that you can use. I use it in a very basic form, and then that plugs into the USB adapter, which is under the desk there. So this is the new keyboard. Well, it's not new, it's actually old. Is it dirty? Or is it just a reflection? It's just a reflection. Oh look, you can see the camera in the reflection. Peekaboo! Okay, so this is a Razer Deathstalker. Let's get the name right. Razer Deathstalker Chroma. And it's a full macro keyboard. I don't often use macros unless I'm playing MMOs, and I don't really play MMOs that much anymore. I played a bit of World of Warcraft on the run up to Christmas. This was actually bought to go on the other machine, because on this machine I have the Razer Black Widow Chroma. Oh, do you know what? My memory is failing me. Razer Black Widow Chroma, that's it. With dust cover on at the moment. But that was the microphone, if you were watching the Subnautica series recently, I replaced, because it was too clicky noisy and it was coming through the microphone sounds. So that's the keyboard. It's really good. It's very quiet. So I can actually game, and the sounds really don't come through the microphone at all. So in terms of other input devices, I'll move this out of the way. This is an absolutely cracking little mouse. This is the Corsair Scimitar mouse, and as you can see, it's got a few buttons on it. Now, the good thing about this mouse is, like most of the multi-button mouses, is it's got software which links it, and you can actually link each of these buttons. And you can say I've got quite big hands, but I can still get my thumbs on the right button. Now, the good thing about that mouse is that not only can you map each of these buttons to a keystroke on the keyboard, but you can actually map these buttons to a macro. So if you write a macro and you're running out of room on your keyboard, you can just use them and press them on that keyboard there, on the mouse. So really good, a really good mouse. The other thing I like about this mouse is there's two buttons here on the top, and if you watch this light here, you'll see that it's on white at the moment, is it? It's on white, okay. So if I want to put that up and make the mouse speed a little bit higher, I can just click it up again, and I think blue is the highest, and that is now stupidly fast. If I showed you my screen, the mouse cursor is flying around. And the reason that's really good is if you're flicking between games, if I play for example Overwatch, I have it on that white setting there, because that actually, in terms of mouse speed in the game, that suits me fine. If I'm playing something like an RTS, I'll have it on the green, and on very rare occasions on the desktop I'll actually put it on the yellow when I'm flicking around editing. So yeah, Corsair Scimitar, I'm not sponsored in any way, but that is a cracking mouse. It's also a really nice mouse wheel. Full RGB, so you can change the colour scheme to whatever you want. I have it as just pretty much static, but it can breathe and ripple and do all the things you want. Same as the keyboard here, but I'm fairly uninventive, so I just have this keyboard as no, it just cycles colours like that. The other thing I've got here, of course, is the controller for when I use it. It's the Xbox One? Yeah, it's the Xbox One controller. I don't have a Steam controller. So let me move down to the rig. This is the main rig. Let me pull it out so you can see it. Right, so this is the case. First of all, is a Fantex Enthoo case. It's metal. Well, you can't really hear it. It is metal. This machine was built for me by one of my friends, who also sold me the case and the I think he sold me the motherboard. No? Yeah, he sold me the motherboard and the graphics card, and basically built it for me. Very generous of you. Thank you, Dan. It has a custom cooling loop here, which you can see, I think, hopefully. Right, so that's the reservoir for the cooling loop, and those are the Corsair fans at the front of the case, two of those. I think they're 140 mils, and so then that loop reservoir goes out into the graphics card, which is an NVIDIA. So that's an EK water block, and that is sat on a GTX 1070 NVIDIA. It doesn't want to focus. Focus, you bitch. So yeah, that's a GTX 1070 with an EK water block on, so we stripped the fans off that. So it's in a cooling loop, custom cooling loop, all built by Dan. That in there is the CPU, again with an EK water block. That is an i7-6800K, and out of that loop then, the pipes go into this radiator system at the top, which has got three 140mm fans on it. Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then out of the end of there and back into the reservoir again. So yeah, it's a pretty neat system. I really like it. I'm on the floor, and Dan was very generous in helping me build it and selling me the parts. Specs again, to reiterate, it's an i7-6800K with a GTX 1070 NVIDIA graphics card, custom water loop using EK water blocks. The memory, the RAM is 16 gig of DDR4, and it's 3200 megahertz, and that's it really. That's it. I don't think there's much else to tell you. The other little bit that I can show you, which was this was actually a birthday present from my wife in 2014, and I would recommend anyone gets one of these. This is the DX Acer chair. Basically, it's very comfy. I like it. So there you go. So that's the main rig. I'm going to move on to the desk now. I'll step back, and you can see that this desk runs the length of this room, and the other rig is down there. In the middle there, we've got a Samsung printer. It's colour, it's laser, that's about all I can say up to that really. This is an awesome piece of kit. This is a Dymo label maker, which sounds like the most boring thing on the planet, but it really helps me get organised, because when I'm doing backups of stuff, I can actually then, you know, put clear labels and know what's YouTube, what's photography, what years, and I never lose anything, or in the theory, I never lose anything. So I move over to this end of the desk. This end of the desk is my, I guess, I spend less time here, but this is the workhorse of the office now. So I get this to do a lot of the rendering once I've edited the video, and then I preview it back on that monitor there, because I render everything in 3440 by 1440 and at 60 frames a second. So it really stresses this machine. when it's rendering because of the cooling system that it's got on here, but I'll touch on that in a minute. The other thing I'm going to mention now is these things. If you use cameras or if you have a smartphone at all, these wipes are incredible. They get glasses, cameras, it cleans anything absolutely crystal clear and it leaves no residue whatsoever. Over to this machine. Now this is, I'm not going to get this one, pull this apart because it's not as good to look at. That is an NZXT H4400 case. A really nice little case. It's green and black, which was at the time the colours that I was going for in the office. I don't know if you can see in here at all that that machine has an i7 4790K. Let me get under the desk. Hello. So this machine has an i7 4790K and this has an Asus it's a Hero 8 or Hero 7 motherboard. God, I don't even know, that's embarrassing. It has a Corsair H80i water cooling system on it, which is it's a closed loop system. Honestly, it's not very good. When I push the processor, it doesn't, the temperatures can rocket. Sometimes it gets over 80 degrees. At the bottom there you can't see, I have two 256 gigabit solid state drives. The other machine has two half terabyte solid state drives as working drives, and then a 2 terabyte drive for data. And then this has a 2 terabyte drive for data, but two 256 gigabyte solid state drives. The graphics card, which you can see there, both machines use an MSI card. I love MSI cards, graphics cards. This is an NVIDIA 980 Ti, which honestly I think is probably more powerful than the 1070, but the 1070 has the custom loop on it. So the 1070 stays a lot cooler. This is using fans. This is just a standard fan system on the bottom here. This has one tiny radiator. I don't know if you can see, it's in the back there. I appreciate this is really dark, but tis the best I can do. So yeah, i7 4790K. This has 16 gigabytes also of DDR4, but that's the 2400 megahertz. And then in the bottom of that, because I don't have an Ethernet cable, I actually have this Asus tri-band Wi-Fi connection, which the router for my internet connection is downstairs. So this machine has a power line adapter down there, and this one uses Wi-Fi. This is actually really fast. I think it's just something like 1300 megabits per second on the 5 gigahertz network, so that's pretty good. I'll start with the monitor again. This is a cracking monitor. It's actually a television. So this is actually a television. That I used that LG monitor over there on here originally, and I've moved that monitor to that machine. So now I grabbed an old TV that we had lying around that I don't use anymore, and you know what, it's actually not too bad. The picture quality on it's pretty good. There's my Star Citizen and Constellation Aquila. That's a phone. If you want to give me a ring, let me know, I'll have a chat. So then the keyboard, which I touched upon earlier, is the Black Widow Chroma. I nearly forgot already. That's a watch, by the way. This is another one of my pride and joy geeky things. It's actually a clip of film from The Empire Strikes Back, which is my favourite Star Wars film. Now this is a trip down memory lane. This is an old, really old Logitech knackered old mouse. It's the poor old G9. That thing has seen some gaming. I didn't need two machines with two very expensive Mises and keyboards on, but there you go. That's a really nice little Razer mouse, the Razer Sphex. On here I'm using the wrist supported Razer Vespula mouse mat, which probably needs changing. It's getting a bit worn now. I've had it for nearly 12 months and it's seen a lot of action in its time. My new business is actually utilising drones. So I've bought some drones. I'm just going to pull them out so I can show you. So this is the drone collection, neatly tucked away under the table there by all those scrappy wires. Focus. So let's do away with that bit for now. This is the DJI Mavic Pro. For those of you who know this drone, you'll know that it's like the latest and greatest portable little 4K camera. What's really good about this drone is it's got 4K. It can shoot in 1080 at 100 frames per second, so it's great for doing aerial slow-mo. It has an f2.8 lens on it, I think. So it's absolutely fantastic, and it fits in my camera rucksack. So this little baby, and its controller's tiny. I mean, look. This is, if you take the drone out and put it in my hand, that's it. That's the size of the drone. It is absolutely tiny, but I tell you what, it's an incredible thing to fly. So in terms of gadgets, the boys' den, I'm very lucky that my previous job afforded me the opportunity to invest in some of this equipment. So the Mavic Pro I use as kind of a portable camera. This is, you use your phone, plug your phone into the controller. It's really portable. You can close that up and literally see it. Just carry it around like that. I actually take it out and stick it in my rucksack. And it's not a big rucksack. Then we've got this, which is really my main commercial drone for the business, and this is again tucked neatly under the desk. This is the DJI Inspire 1 Pro. This is the aircraft, point to it with my foot. It's an amazing piece of kit. The camera's in there. The camera and the gimbal is probably worth, I'd say probably worth more than the airframe itself. That lens that I'm using on this camera now, the lens off this fits my Panasonic Lumix as well. They're both micro four thirds cameras. That's an f1.7. We've got 3 batteries. You can test to see how full they are. They should be full. Yep. Now you're not supposed to store these batteries as full, but I was supposed to have my commercial flight test on Monday of this week, and unfortunately it was postponed due to the weather, as the flight controller there. What I do have for this in my other rucksack, and I've got lots of really handy neutral density filters, polarizing filters, etc, that any decent photographer or videographer should have in their bag. This thing looks amazing when it's flying. I'll put a picture up and you can see some pictures my brother-in-law took, or future brother-in-law took for me last weekend. But yeah, so those are the drones. The Inspire 1 Pro comes with a camera called an X5, and the X5 has a gimbal built into it. But what that gives you is the opportunity to have kind of a steady cam, if you've heard of a steady cam, something you can walk with and film, and it doesn't bounce. So when you walk with the camera normally, it'll bounce everywhere. Thought somebody was behind me then. There shouldn't be, because I'm in the house on my own. So what this is a DJI Osmo. So that gives you the ability to take the camera off the drone and flip it upside down using an adapter, and then put that camera as a Steadicam in your hand. So it's basically a grip. It's a little handheld thing, and you have all kinds of paraphernalia that you plug into it. So this is the adapter, which needs to go in the top here. It fits the camera on, and then you have, in addition to that, you have to use this. You have an adapter for a mobile phone. So that you can tell my camera work's not great. That will sit on the side, on that side there, and you look at the picture on the phone when you're filming, and you can change all the aperture and the exposure and the shutter speed and whatever. So I don't think there's anything else to show you really. I mean, if anyone's really interested, my company is nearly due to start operating. The website's under construction at the moment, and the company's called Aspection, and the website is aspection.co.uk. Feel free to have a look. It's not finished, so you can actually see the website develop. The company's not launched. I was due to have my commercial license test last Monday, so yesterday in fact, and part of that test is your own ability to judge the weather, and you have to make a decision on whether your operation will go ahead or not. So yesterday morning at about 6 o'clock I made the decision based on the weather not to fly, and it proved to be the right decision. Now if I was flying the Mavic, for example, and this is an important point, if I was flying the Mavic I would have probably gone. But the Mavic, if you're planning on flying your commercial permissions in the UK, do not plan on having your flight evaluation using a Mavic Pro from DJI, simply because part of your evaluation will require you to fly in a manual mode, or as DJI call it, ATI, attitude mode. Now that means you have to switch from a GPS controlled positioning system to fully manual ATI mode. And the Mavic Pro doesn't offer the ability to switch from GPS to ATI. It actually only does it automatically when the GPS signal has been dropped. So that is my life at the moment, and that will hopefully explain why I've been absent probably since a month before Christmas. I really hope you've enjoyed seeing my home, my workstation. So when I'm online, when I'm streaming, when I'm editing, you know, you guys now know where I'm sitting. You know what it looks like. At this moment in time, I'm not working. I haven't worked since last September. I'm in the process of setting up a business, and my only income is from YouTube, and that's nothing. It's pittance. So I'm living off my savings. So all of this expense, all of these equipment, the PCs that I've invested in have all been for this business and for YouTube. So my future is working for myself. It's working for you guys, hopefully making content that you enjoy. And I want to finish recording this. I'm going to go and do another Subnautica video because I'm loving that game. So that's it. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do, or just give me a like, because little things like that really help. Any feedback welcome, and like I said, I hope you've enjoyed sharing a little bit of my home with me. And my phone's ringing, so I'm going to go. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.